Hi everyone, I'm Rushlock, and I broadcast on Twitch.tv, and I'm pretty transparent with my chat that if anyone ever has the interest to get into streaming, for whatever reason, that I will be more than happy to kind of, I don't want to say guide, that sounds about presumptuous, but assist them or aid them in their process for getting started. And in 2020, it can be very daunting, coming to the platform. It wasn't like when I started in 2013, the pool of broadcasters was a lot more shallow. And nowadays, any game that you may be looking at, especially newer games, it can be very overwhelming to try and push into that Twitch directory and expect growth. It's a very big difference if you're just streaming for you and your friends versus if you're trying to achieve growth. And so I guess that first distinction is that to be made. Are you streaming for you and your already existing social circle, which is fine, or are you doing it for growth? And if you're doing it for growth, the next thing to discuss would be you have to be brutally honest with yourself. And what I'm talking about is my first question to people, and I preface this with there's no wrong answer. Are you doing this as a hobby? Are you doing this as a side gig? Or are you doing this as a profession or looking to grow it into a profession? And again, there's no wrong answer. The most important part, though, is you have to give an honest answer. And before I can get an honest answer to me, you have to be able to give an honest answer to yourself. And that's the biggest struggle, is people will come in kind of timidly like, no, it's just a hobby, just something I do around for fun. And then we get them set up and started, and a week or two in, or a day or two in, or an hour or two in, they're dejected that they're not having some kind of metric for success they didn't divulge. Some of them that I do hear from again, well, yeah, I didn't hit this follower goal, or I didn't get this viewer goal, or I didn't get this fiscal goal, and it'll be a goal that they never disclosed up front. And if they don't disclose their goals and ambitions up front, I can't help them reach those goals. So the very first thing, and I cannot stress this enough, is you've got to be brutally honest with yourself before you can expect to be honest with me or anyone who's going to help you reach your goals. So that's the first thing to identify. And once you've identified which of those paths you're trying to pursue, you need to decide how you're presenting yourself. How are you broadcasting? And for the most part, this is a very simplified generalization, but typically you're going to be either an entertainer, you're going to be playing at a very high level, or you're going to be educational. So why are people watching you? And if you can't answer that question, or if your answer to that question is, yeah, I'm okay at the game, or I'm pretty good at the game, or I think I'm pretty funny, or my friends think I'm pretty funny, things like that, that's too wishy-washy. You need to have an actual plan or idea or reason that you have confidence in as to why people are going to tune into you. Otherwise, what's the point? Like, we go back to the idea of doing this with you and your previous existing social circle, or you're doing it as a hobby because you're like, well, I'm playing this game anyway, I might as well turn on the stream and chit-chat with, maybe someone will come in or something. That's fine if that's the ceiling of your ambition. There's nothing wrong with that. But if your goal is growth, you have to be able to identify yourself. This also overlaps with the honesty of yourself. Are you going to be an entertainer? Are you going to be playing at a high level? Or are you going to be educational? And you don't have to be just one of these things. It can be a mixture of like 70%, 20%, 10% mixture of that. But you need to have an awareness of where you fall in those categories and how you're going to be presenting that content. No one wants to watch somebody not talk to the stream, isn't playing at a very high skill level, and if they're not very skilled at the game, what can they possibly teach you? That kind of a thing. There's just no reason to be there in that case. But yeah, that would be the second thing to identify. And then third is typically, if we get this far, it turns into game selection. So let's say somebody is super hyped and excited about doing streaming, and they want to do it with whatever ambition they're bringing to the table. And they're like, I want to do some Call of Duty Modern Warfare, man. This new shooter is the hotness. Or the new RPG this year, Cyberpunk, is coming out, and I want to be the streamer for that and get a lot of viewers and things like that. You have to look at games directories and understand that if a game is saturated, meaning there's a lot of broadcasters and big broadcasters in that category, discoverability and visibility are quite low. No one's going to know you're there. No one's going to find you. And again, this is broad generalizations. Well, you get one or two people in, quite possibly, but the number's going to be single digits, right? And then you get discouraged, and then you quit, and there's no purpose to that. So game selection is critical. It needs to be something you're passionate about. It needs to be something you're genuinely interested in. You can't just look for a category that looks good, or that's a category I can get into and be near the top. It can't just be that. It has to be something you're genuinely interested and ideally passionate about. And if it's a lesser watched title, you have to go in knowing the ceiling for it's very low, but you can develop a community from that and grow it into something else. And that's something else you need to be aware of, is that you'll mostly have two types of viewers coming into your channel. You'll have people who are there strictly for the game that you're streaming, and then people that are there because you are the content. And those are usually from conversions, right? People came in for the game you were playing at the time and then stuck around because they enjoyed you as a content creator. And you're not going to see a 100% conversion rate at all. That conversion rate is very, very, very comparatively low. But there are things you can do and things you can plan for to kind of foster or improve that conversion rate. And you don't want to spend 6 months playing one game exclusively, knowing that you're going to change titles, and then when that change comes, your viewership drops by half, if not less, and then you get completely blown out by not realizing that was going to happen. You know, it's predictable. It's going to happen. It's not a variable. So knowing that in advance can hopefully give you a better perspective of what to expect. Let's see. So we've covered game selection, your ambitions for why you're doing it, the how, how you're going to present yourself. And I think that's a good number of topics to start off with. I don't want to go deep diving into every nuanced concept of broadcasting, again, as a hobby, professionally, or even semi-professionally. Because again, there are no wrong answers for that. But it really starts off with you having to be brutally honest with yourself and having a clear vision of what you're going to do. I guess if I needed to add one more thing that I think is super important, the biggest difference between starting back years ago and starting now is now I would say there's a stronger emphasis, because you benefited from this in the past as well, but now there's a bigger emphasis on being present and active on different platforms. And by that I mean just not Twitch. You're going to want to be active on YouTube as well. So if you're a brand new broadcaster and you're like, I'm going to stream 5 days a week, X number of hours per day, you're coming out the gate hot, that's great. You've got the energy for it. But I would strongly consider mixing into some kind of 3-2 plan, meaning stream for 3 days, make videos for 2 days, or invert that, whichever it gives you the better results. And the reason for that is even if no one's watching your YouTube videos, when you're streaming and you get common questions, you send people to your YouTube content, and then your YouTube content is 24/7 advertisements for your stream, because your stream comments, your YouTube video descriptions are going to link people back to your Discord, another platform you need to be active on, your Twitch channel, the other platform you're active on, and then beyond this, you add in, let's say you're doing anything in a visual medium, you're going to be on Instagram, and that might date this video in 5-10 years, but the point is, you'll be active on multiple platforms, and you need these multiple platforms to kind of form a web and overlap and reinforce each other to drive the traffic into circles there. But that's probably the last one I want to get into. I want to keep this video as brief as possible. But if you've ever had interest in broadcasting on Twitch and getting started, but you don't know where to start or the things you need to take care of beforehand, it's the things we've talked about here. The honesty with yourself, awareness of how things work, and you need to develop habits. You have to develop some sort of routine. It doesn't have to be super rigid, but some of us work better or worse on how strictly we can keep our routines and our habits being formed. So that's really the big things. And as always, same thing as what I tell on broadcasting on the air live. If you have questions, if you're really interested in getting into it and you want feedback or input, contact me on Discord, which will be obviously linked in the description below. Send me a DM on there sometime. Pop into the Twitch chat, whatever you want to do, and comments here on this video as well. I can communicate through these means as well. So do so, and we'll try to get you set up the best we can, and hopefully this will help you at all. Good luck.